Welcome back, YouTube. Another Monday here in the shop, working on the little Courier. Got some good progress done on this thing last week. We took a little break, but we're back on it. Give you a quick little rundown for everyone that may be new to the channel or hasn't seen this yet. (1972) Ford Courier that we've upgraded with the motor, transmission, front suspension, and independent rear suspension from an '02 Mazda Miata. And as you can see, we're gonna spice it up here a little bit with a turbo, some cool wheels, some sticky Falcon tires. Building this thing with intentions of having just a lightweight, high revving turbo, just fun little, I don't know, something I could take autocrossing or take to the mountains or go slide around at a drift event. My buddy Chris has a Miata, and it's really fun. It's turbo. It's enjoyable to drive, but let's be honest, Miatas, not the coolest looking cars. This, a little bit cooler, a lot cooler to me. You be the judge. The whole bottom of this truck was pretty rotten. Rebuilt everything, new inner rockers, floor, there's a subfloor. Check all that out in the last episode. Used the Miata tunnel that we shortened and modified and sectioned in there. Has a custom firewall, and we've just kind of sort of set these in place. We're going to use all the Miata pedals and steering column. Now I've went ahead and just ran some bolts in there and drilled some holes. Kind of just got it very roughly, loosely mocked up. Today we're going to walk through and try to figure this out together on how to mount everything properly, brace it properly. We're doing, factory had vacuum assisted brakes. We're going with manual brakes, and I've read some articles online how people swap that over. Talk you through that and how we're going to reinforce the firewall. We'll figure this out together. Wish us luck. So far you can see we have this upper brace here which ties the dash to the firewall. I used to have this in here for triangulation, which we're going to put that back, or at least part of it. First things first, we had to clearance everything out to make sure this fits, and then we can either reuse it or find a better solution. We're really close on our clearance up here. I think we're going to need some kind of bracket to go from the upper plate to this pedal, because even though we have it bolted here, I'm afraid like with enough pedal pressure it's going to want to like pull this assembly down. So we're going to mount this assembly to this brace, and we're going to mount this brace to the firewall. Same thing for the clutch pedal. We're going to do something from the top of the firewall, or whatever you want to call this section here. Going to mount something from there to here, just to keep that sucker from flexing around. Already added one little brace right here to the gas pedal, to the factory mount. We will triangulate that just to be double sure that that's correct. The gas pedal, we'll need a little more angle in that. Obviously the clutch pedal, that's not gonna work. My feet are way too wide for that. Gonna make us a new pedal there. Mount the column, figure out the steering shaft, which I've already kind of got an idea. I've already cut it. Long story short, when they had the old firewall, I did connect the two, but I didn't mark where they're at. So if I can find the same position and angle of the steering column, which I have a pretty good idea, if I can find that, then that solution's done. If not, then we're modifying, we're whatever, it's fine. We're gonna figure it out. Today's goal, to get all this pedal assembly finalized. Yeah, I think that's realistic. Let's go with that. First project I'm gonna do is, we gotta get this and this tied together. So I'm thinking I'm either gonna bolt to this and weld to this, or bolt to this and weld to this. I don't know. We're gonna get some probably 1/8 plate, bend this up a little L bracket and see which one makes more sense. Didn't have the 1/8 that I hoped I would, but I found this 3/16 3-inch strap. I think that'll work good for us. Went ahead and marked us a little 1.5 inch line there. Went ahead and rounded the corner. Gonna use our handy dandy, whoa, simmer down, handy dandy Harbor Freight press brake here. We'll get her touched down there to hold it in place. Double check our line, double check our square. And this is where the air of a hydraulic cylinder makes my life so much easier. Woo. There we go. Help if I use the correct end. Get out of there. There we go. Here's a little bracket, a couple holes punched in it, corners rounded off. Didn't round the bottoms off because those are going to get welded up. That will live basically right there. Weld up the bottom. You'll get 2 holes up in there. And the idea of not just welding all this together is I don't want to make this assembly permanent to the truck, just in case I need to take it out to, I don't know, like I don't know what could really go wrong other than maybe a bushing in here, or I don't know. I just don't want to be pigeonholed to that thing living there forever. That's why it's getting bolted there. And made another little tab right here. Will live right there. That'll get welded on to this plate. A couple bolts there. And then our clutch pedal. Went ahead and made this little piece, ticked it up, and it will be in that vicinity right there. So it'll get bolts from the top and it'll get a bolt right there. Should be good to go. For the clutch pedal, we just cut it off, ground all the paint back, beveled the edges. As you can see here, what's left of it. And you can see the jog or the offset in it we're trying to get away from. Cutting it in a few pieces. I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do this originally. I was going to leave this a little bit on this, and then I was like, why would I have 2 welds, a weld here and a weld here on the new one, when I could just weld the new one straight to this. Thought it'd be a little cleaner. So cut that off around that. Took some construction paper here, kind of made a shape I was happy with. It's somewhat similar to that, but a little beefier. Whittled that out of some 3/16, which is exact thickness of that, and tuned in my angle right there. Yeah, I think that'll do. I'm gonna pull this off, weld it up, throw my little foot pad on. Should be good to go. Let's give it a try. Accidentally broke the spring for the pedal here, return spring. I'll hold it up, you can look at that placement. Looks so good. Already set the seat in. Everything feels really comfortable. Modified our gas pedal so it doesn't hit the floor anymore. It hits the little factory pedal stop up there. That'll work out really nice. This, we welded on our bracing up there, but I forgot to put the bolt in. This is just mock-up, so I'm not terribly worried about that at the moment. Did weld some nuts on the top, so it'll be easy to get those in and out. Same thing. Haven't put our little bracket in here yet. We'll do that tomorrow. The clutch pedal, though, this is the one I'm excited about. It turned out really nice. It's got a real OEM shape to it. We cut it here, as you remember, and welded it, tigged it across, and I put this little triangle gusset here, or diamond gusset. I don't think it would have ever broken. Just can't hurt. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna be well, hopefully when we kick the clutch it doesn't fall apart, but we kick that clutch and just a little extra strength and reinforcement there will be good for us. Yeah. And that's it for today. All in all, it's pretty good. A lot of tedious, time consuming, lots of measuring, finding angles, tacking, checking, assembly, disassembly. It took me a while, but I'm very happy with it. I think it's going to work out well. I measured the throw of all the pedals. All the pedal throw is just like OEM. Should work out really well. But it's hot, I'm tired. Taylor's standing at the door like he wants me to answer a question. So that's it for today. Tomorrow, steering column. We're back Tuesday. We got so much done yesterday. Hopefully we get a bunch done today as well. Today's project, steering column. We've already kind of loosely mocked it up before. Kind of know the angles. I'll show you what we've done so far and then show you what today's kind of plan of attack is. So here's the stock Miata column. These are the stock Miata mounts. You can kind of see right here where they were and where they are now. Already welded them up, already set the angle. Last time when I had this mocked up, I don't know, a few months ago when we first started on the project. Hopefully the angle is still correct. I was just sitting on some 2x4s and a milk crate before. Hopefully that's close enough. Now that we have floors, we might have to tweak on that a little bit, but there's a little bit of adjustment that can be made on the dash side. Let's see. Just gonna figure it out as we go. Here we are. Seat in, steering column just kind of sort of snugged up, just to kind of hold it in place here. Make sure your seat's where it's going to be happy, where you want it. The steering wheel on. You got to make sure this is right. You don't want to sacrifice column angle or anything else for being in a hurry. So here, it's comfortable. I'm the kind of person, I like to drive with my arms kind of bent. You know, like arm out. I'm a wrist on top of the steering wheel kind of guy. Some people like to be like, if their arm is all the way out, like to be palm on. I'm wrist on. So that gives you a little bit of turn here. Just what I'm more comfortable with. Also, I like to drive knees bent. Just preference. I think it comes from growing up riding like little yard carts around. I was just so used to, you know, being kind of bunched up in the yard cart, little go-kart like this. It's just the way it feels most comfortable when I'm doing like performance driving, which is obviously what this is for. So I think something like that, we can kind of tweak it up. I think right there would be good. That way I know where my gauge clutcher is going to be. That'll look good. Side to side, so we got a little adjustment there. It feels pretty good. We'll give that the Snuggarooski. Oh, and obviously this is all loose. I'm not terribly worried about that at the moment. Yeah, there we go. Shifter, the hole here. I'm more comfortable like right here. We'll have to build some kind of, at first I thought I was going to have to do like a remote shifter with a dog bone and everything. I don't think I'm going to have to go to that extreme. I believe I can just have a bent rod that jogs forward maybe 3 inches, and I could be just right here. Maybe. I'll try that first before I go into the whole dog bone relocated shifter thing. That's a heck of a lot more work. Yeah. You know, shifter here, handbrake here. Yeah, I like it. Once again, take your time. Make sure you get this part right. You don't want to get done with a build and it be uncomfortable and you just be miserable driving it. With all the angles set inside, everything happy, where I think it's going to work well, we can look at cutting the hole for the steering shaft to pass through, which I actually already did, as well as look at what we're going to have to do with the steering shaft, which I figured out in the last time I worked on this. Give you a quick little rundown. This is just the stock Miata steering shaft that I took and I cut the center of it, shortened it to the distance I needed, welded it back up, then slid this sleeve over and welded the sleeve up. Just once again, double insurance here just to make sure that's as strong as it possibly can be. I found the distance this needed to be by hooking up, now this is when the firewall was still out of it. I hooked up the joint up here and the joint down on the steering rack, measured the distance, subtracted the two, and made this up. Now this steering shaft does have, let's see if I can do it by hand with one hand. has, oh, there we go. It has a little bit of telescoping ability. So I made it where halfway through the telescoping cycle is where the length needs to be. That way I can shorten it up a little bit and slip it in and out and lengthen it a little bit just in case, you know, we have, I don't know, a 1/4 inch of difference between here and yonder. Also, that little bit of telescoping will help if we ever get an impact. It'll somewhat absorb it. But let's be honest, if I get an impact in this tin can, it's over. This thing is one step above a soda can. That's why we got to get some kind of roll bar in this thing. We're going to figure that out. As for the hole in the firewall, I took where the end of the steering column is and kind of guessed, and I'll be honest with you, I guessed wrong twice. We're a little too far this way, so it doesn't need to be quite this wide here, and we missed on this side. That's just part of it. Great thing about metal, we cut the hole a little too big, we can weld it up. It's not a big deal. As for a grommet, this is the factory grommet that actually goes inside the car on the Miata, and it worked out really well. I just took the factory retaining plate, I ground off the mounting studs, flipped it basically inside out, so it's going to be right there. We're going to use this for the grommet on the outside. I'll show you. Got the steering shaft hooked up here. You can see we actually have more like 3/4 of an inch of telescoping there, so even more safety. Got that put into place. You can see our grommet actually, you can see right here where I missed our hole, but when we slide this up into place, let's see what this looks like. Oop, upside down. It looks like, there we go. It actually covers the hole. I'll probably still weld a little bit right there, but I know it wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. So yeah, a couple bolts here, there, boom. That'll be our steering shaft. That's simple enough. Want to get that hooked up and just double check clearance with the frame, firewall, everything before we finalize our lower steering column brackets. What I mean by lower steering column brackets, we have to figure out a way to stabilize the bottom of this column, either up to here or maybe down to the firewall. One or the other. Either way, we got to brace that up so it doesn't wibble wobble around, because you don't want the bottom of the column moving. It's going to throw the steering wheel off, which isn't the worst of getting down and hitting the chassis or binding up the U-joints and not being able to steer. That's not ideal. I think we finally have all the modifications finished for the pedals. Well, for now, which probably means we're going to have to do something else. What do you think?
Always something else.
There's always something else. I'll give you a quick little rundown of the things we did to stabilize the column for the steering shaft gasket thing. Run you through those real quick, and we'll toss everything together. We got to do this kind of quick because Taylor's ready to go home.
Carbon fiberglass dust. I want to go shower.
Hadn't even been here 12 hours yet. Part-time, I'm telling you. Because of the hole we had to cut out for the column here, it got real, basically paper thin on the edge here. Made a little plate, extend that over for strength. Triangulated our little brace here. Put a couple little studs for the steering column mount I'm about to show you. Alright, this is bracket number 1. A little TIG, a little MIG. Had to get a little practice in. Bracket number 2, this one's real simple, straightforward. Toss everything together, show you how all this works. On the right hand side of the column is the simple bracket. This comes up here, 2 bolt holes, welded down here. Don't have those in yet, but yeah, it's fine. Once again, just mock up. On the left hand side of the column, you can see the other triangulated piece. It's funny, I made this out of 2 pieces and I tigged it together, and it just ended up looking like a piece of angle iron. I don't know. I didn't intend for that to happen. I honestly just realized it, but whatever. It is what it is. It works. Tied in here, bottom, side. You can kind of see, it's tough to see in here. The 2 studs I welded on the firewall plate. There. Tie in there. I don't even have the bolts in it, and it's... The steering column is super sturdy now. Real happy with the way all that turned out. On the outside of the firewall, where the steering shaft comes through, we have the rubber grommet. I just drilled a hole through, or 3 holes through, reused the factory retainer ring, and drilled the inner firewall stiffener, 1, 2, 3. Drilled through to that, tap those holes. So now, all this goes together, like so. Just run some 1/4 bolts, and that's going to tie the firewall to the stiffener plate. Hold the grommet on. There we go. Now, I'll say there's a bunch of different ways you could have done any of this. Just what I came up with, and I think it's going to work really well. And if it doesn't, I'll be honest with you and tell you, and we'll modify it. We'll figure it out from there. But it's my simple little solutions to simple little problems. I think that's all we're going to do today, because I am burnt out. We're going to see you tomorrow. One more thing before I leave, because if I don't do this now, I'm probably going to forget about it. I have 1 hole to drill. If anyone hasn't noticed, we're converting this Miata from power or vacuum assisted brakes to manual brakes. I'll kind of show you what I've learned for some internet research. There's a whole mathematical equation behind pedal ratios and whatnot, and all that's to be found online. It's kind of a case-by-case basis, depending on the master cylinder you're running and the brake style, whether it be disc, drum, etc. So do your research. But on this, it's actually pretty simple. So I drilled the firewall for the pattern if it were to have a booster, right? So 1, 2, 3, and then obviously 4 on the other side. With these cars, what most people do, there's a little billet aluminum block you can buy that basically moves it up to here on this plane, but we don't need that. We don't need that since we're doing everything custom. I just took and clearanced out the pedal assembly a little bit, drilled the center hole for the master cylinder between the 2 upper holes of the booster. I hope this isn't too confusing. Kind of confusing myself here. Drilled it, put it in. That handles that part. On the pedal, it does make a difference between power and manual as far as the ratio. And luckily, you just move the pedal clevis hole up the same amount that you moved it up on the firewall, which would be 1.25 inches. Drill a new hole, put it back together, good to go. There's way too much stuff going on the driver's side of this to even think about putting a brake booster. There's just too much stuff in too small a bag, if you know what I'm trying to say. Manual brakes are great. I've already got some nice Hawk brake pads for it, so it's going to stop fine. It'll be good to go. Worst case, I may have to change master cylinder sizes, because that is the one discrepancy I've read online. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. For now, we're going to use this one, and we're going to call it a night. See you tomorrow. All right, day 3, at least this week, of courier projects. The last 2 little tasks we have inside, or at least, oh man, I hope they're the last 2. I'm so tired of climbing in and out of this tiny truck. Last 2 things we have to handle inside the truck is going to be shifter and handbrake. Now, don't think just because we're putting a handbrake in, it's going to be just a drift truck. I mean, it will be drifted sometime in its life. It's just fun. Our buddies at Courier Works make killer products. Had to include them in on this build. And for the shifter, like we talked about, it's just too far back. Had to get it further forward, make it more comfortable to drive. The shifters on these transmissions are a little odd. I'll show you what I've discovered so far. You have the main part of the shifter. You know, this is the ball that it rotates on. This is the part that goes into the transmission linkage and pushes everything around. It goes up, and then it looks to be rubber mounted inside of this larger upper threaded shaft. We need this thing to be about 3, maybe 4 inches jogged forward, just for a more comfortable position. So we're going to start by cutting this off, getting down to the main shifter shaft. That's what we're going to call it today, shifter shaft. We're going to get down to that, check our diameter, see what we're going to need make an extension for it. All right, made a couple little cuts. Oh, there we go. Get rid of that guy. Huh. I don't know if oh, yes I cut that. Got a little sleeve. What do we have in there? Yeah, it's just vulcanized rubber. Take a few minutes to get all this cleaned off. I was scrounging around in the scrap bin and found this bar stock. Other than being covered in paint, it's within 6/1000ths of the same size as the shifter. Just gonna get this thing cleaned up and bent to the shape we're looking for. All right, we have our shifter extension jigged up here, if you will. My old bead roller, I'm using one of the dies for it as a radius. Couple clamps down to our fab table. Obviously gonna have to have some heat. You could possibly bend this without it. It's not gonna look as good. I've got it, let's use it. A torch set is what every gearhead needs anyway. If you don't have one, invest in it. Put it to about a 45-ish degree. Let this cool enough to handle it, flip it over, and we'll measure our, I don't know, roughly 3 inches of jog, and then bend it back the other way. There we go. Decided to go, after kind of eyeballing it, went more of like a 4.5 inch jog. I'll measure it a little better when it cools off, but it looks a little better after I made the first bend. Just made more sense. I was rummaging around through the spare hardware and found some tube sleeves, one of which was, I mean, just within a couple thousandths of being perfect to go over this. So I put it in my lathe, opened up the ID of it just enough to slip over here, went ahead and tacked the two together. Now I did shorten the shifter side of it, but I tacked the two together. So what I'll do is I'll fully weld this, and I'll slide this sleeve over the weld and fully weld both sides of that. Extra strong. Got the shifter welded up here, turned out nice. Took the little bushing off for welding. Obviously don't want to melt that guy. Let's see if we can get a snake down in here. Gotta hold your tongue just right. There we go. I do realize, for those that are already typing, I know this is going to make it a long throw shifter, being longer. Just kind of is what it is. We'll research short throw options later. But for now, oh yeah. Being up here is so much better than being all the way back here. You can't see it's not in frame, but my elbow here is like touching the seat. So if I wanted to go second, I would be super uncomfortable. Yeah. Oop. Yep. I'm happy with it. One project down. Now, let's see if we can get a handbrake in here. Didn't close out yesterday's video because honestly, I was exhausted. How exhausted? I was getting cramps and achy, and I felt like I was getting sick. I think I've just way overdone it this week. Trying to really thrash and get you guys some good videos, some good content. And it's hot. It's real hot. I think I just got a little dehydrated, but it's fine. Did get some work done. Show you what it was. Not as much progress as I hope to have this week, but hey, I'm not pushing my body any harder because, let's face it, I'm not getting any younger and bouncing back from this. it's not gonna be fun. Got our threaded portion welded on the shifter here. That's M12-125. Found a company online, actually on Etsy. I don't know why I was on Etsy, but anyway. Found a company that makes some really cool shift knobs. Ordered one from them, sent them a message. They said that was the most common thread pitch that didn't have to have one of those little brass inserts. Went ahead and welded that on. Obviously you can see I sleeved it for extra strength because I mean we're gonna be banging some gears in this thing. We don't want that to break. For the e-brake, kept it pretty simple. Now I could have made it even more simple and just bolted it to the floor. Driver's comfort is so key in builds like this. You don't want to sacrifice anything. You want to just feel right at home inside the race car, race truck, whatever you got. The handle felt a little short. Instead of extending the handle, which would be silly, just built a little mount, raised it up an inch. Yeah, felt a lot better. Once again, just our favorite material, 1x3/8. Cut the ends at an angle to make it look less agricultural. Took some nuts and flange nuts, and I drilled the hole. Probably can't see it. I drilled the hole in the center for the nut, and then I drilled 3 holes around the perimeter and welded the flange to the tube, and then left access for the threads in the middle. It's going to be plenty strong for what we're doing. I mounted it over close to the edge so it'd be even more rigid. It's going to be good to go. So just as a reference, 103 right now. It's 103 surface temp of the roof of this thing. And as you know, all the projects I've been doing lately are all welding related. Well, for those of you that don't know, when you're welding, especially TIG welding, you can't be running a fan because it'll blow the shielding gas away. So I've been sitting in a 103 degree shop for, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours a day, welding and fabricating with no fan. Yeah, learned my lesson, not doing that again. Hey, regardless, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. The likes, the comments. We're getting so many positive comments from everyone. It's awesome. It gives me the motivation to keep going, knowing that I'm helping people, inspiring, etc. We love it. Keep the love flowing. Hopefully we'll keep some good work flowing for you guys. Till next time. See ya.